Happy friendship anniversary to us.
Happy friendship anniversary.
You know, we met 10 years this summer.
Oh my God.
Already passed.
It already passed.
Yeah.
We were just back home from our summer trip.
Yeah.
If that were the case.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't believe it's been 10 years already.
I know.
Like a decade.
Oh, yeah. You know what time it is. It's time to get a little Fronky up in here. This is Let Me Be Fronk.
It's time to get funky. We're all getting funky. It's time for Alyssa Fronk. Alyssa Fronk.
Let me be Fronk.
Hello, and welcome back to Let Me Be Fronk. I'm your favorite unpaid talk show host, Alyssa Fronk. We're back after a little summer hiatus. Mama needed to reset, recharge, and reconfigure a few things here on the show because I want to make this a sustainable endeavor for me and my team, dare I say. I'm also committed to making this the highest quality show I possibly can. So to ensure that, I've decided to change the publishing cadence to a bi-weekly show, meaning we will be publishing a new episode of Let Me Be Fronk every other Wednesday. Or until I announce otherwise. Maybe I have another hiatus. Maybe I have a holiday we take off for. I'm entitled to do that because this is my show. So thank you for understanding. I feel a lot better now. I'm ready to hit the ground running. I have so many exciting interviews lined up and little fun things I'm working on. The other update is now we are on Apple in addition to Spotify. So you can listen to this talk show as a podcast on Apple or Spotify, or obviously tune into YouTube because remember, this is a made for YouTube talk show. And that is my personal recommendation. But thank you for being here. Love you all so much. I'm excited to keep taking this baby to the next level. This next guest of Let Me Be Fronk is someone extremely near and dear to my heart, a friend of over a decade, and my favorite West Coast residing Armenian, no offense to the Kardashian family. She's a proud Persian Armenian originally from Iran who immigrated to the US with her family when she was just 5 years old. More to come on that journey later on this episode, but spoiler alert, it's an amazing story. Her family eventually settled in California where she embraced her destiny to be the most Los Angeles girl of all time. She's a graduate of Woodbury University in Burbank, where she studied business, marketing, and abroad to Europe one summer, which would ultimately change the course of her life. Throughout her career, she's dabbled in the startup world, operations, and travel and hospitality. Currently, she's slaying the global media agency sector, where she works as a client solutions and planning manager for clients such as NARS. Yeah, the makeup. Ever heard of it? Aside from being bilingual, hot, and occasionally spicy, she's one of the most magnetic people I've ever known. If you've met her, you probably have a huge crush on her. Please welcome to Let Me Be Fronk, one of my most loyal subscribers and soon-to-be guest favorites, Selin Babakhani, or as I like to call her, Selin Babakhani. Welcome to the show.
I am so excited to be here. And I know you do these cool intros, but I was not expecting that.
Really?
I loved it. That's
Okay,
me.
thank God. I was
so
sweating
cool.
bullets writing it. Honestly, I was struggling because I was like, I love her so much, and I want to do right by her, and I want to really capture her essence in the intro.
That was amazing.
Okay, well, I'm glad you approve. Thank God. How the hell are you, friend?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Getting back into the routine. I'm just gonna power through it and do the job I was hopefully born to do. Anyways,
You were
enough about
definitely
me.
born to do this.
We'll see. But no, as I mentioned, you're a West Coast girly. So what the hell are you doing over here in New York City of all places?
You know, I love to visit you, and I have a few other besties here that live in New York for the time being. And then, like you mentioned, I work for NARS and Shiseido, and their headquarters is here. So I'm fortunate enough to come twice, 3 times a year and see my coworkers, see my friends, dearest and nearest to me, and then get some work done too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm definitely loving it because typically before you had this job, see what once every 4 years it felt like, especially after the pandemic really screwed things up for our frequency in seeing each other.
It did.
But thank God you have this job. So now they fly you out here on their dime. And I get to see my friend more.
Yeah.
Thank God. Because like I said, I've known you 10 years. Also, happy friendship anniversary to us.
Happy friendship anniversary.
You know, we met 10 years this summer.
Oh my God.
Already passed.
It already passed.
Yeah.
We were just back home from our summer trip.
Yeah.
If that were the case.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't believe it's been 10 years already.
I know.
Like a decade.
I was on the phone with my mom as I got off the train, and I was like, Mom, I'm going to see Alyssa. She's like, Alyssa Fronk? Okay, have fun. Tell her I said hi.
Love your family. Shout out to the Babakhani family. I hope all of you are tuning in. Love you guys so much. I miss them.
They are definitely going to tune in.
I was literally telling producer Ali before you got here, I was like, I've literally had Armenian Christmas with her family. Like,
Such
we're
perfect
close.
timing. Yeah,
We're
such
close.
perfect timing that you were there during that time.
Oh my God, I loved it. Obsessed.
You're invited to Armenian Christmas every year.
Okay, I'm coming.
Okay.
This next year.
Yeah.
All
Let's
right,
do
we'll
it.
talk. We'll talk.
Okay.
So yeah, thank God you're on the East Coast. When you told me you were coming in for a work trip, I was like, bitch, be on the show. And you said yes.
Of course.
Because I wasn't being facetious. You're a loyal subscriber.
I am.
You are
Yes.
always hyping me up. You're always leaving delightful little comments, texting me, calling me, telling me how much you love it. And I'm like, I can't believe my LA girly makes the time to listen to this. So thank you.
Of course. And I refrain from like 30 comments. And
No,
I keep
please.
it to like
Actually,
5.
can you do
Like,
that?
I
'Cause
could do every minute talk about it, like as if I'm
I would never
in
stop
the room
you.
with whoever you're interviewing with
I would
you.
never stop you, please. Engagement is engagement. Mama needs engagement. So keep it up in the comments.
Deal.
In your words, if you'll indulge, what makes you a Los Angeles girl?
Is it time to be Fronk already? Because it's
Please.
the car
It's always
and the
time.
air conditioning that makes or breaks you, girl.
Okay. Okay.
Look, I love the New York life.
Yeah.
Love it.
Mhm.
But mama needs her air conditioning. You know, just
I
that's
feel
my
you.
like
I feel you. I know we're all lights, camera, action over here, but we're like 20 minutes in and I'm like, I wish I could turn on the AC. I feel you. That's definitely the hardest part about living here. Summers in New York, brutal. Don't recommend.
jokes aside, I think LA for me is home because of all of the friends that I have and of course family that's established there.
Yeah.
Um
And you have a ton of
they're
family
home.
there.
Yeah. Family and friends. So it's like that. I think the people around you make it your home. And of course
Mhm.
the 9 months out of the year that we're getting amazing weather
Yeah.
also helps. So
I feel that. I feel that. As I hinted in the intro, Selin has an incredible immigration story. You were originally born in Iran and you immigrated to the US and settled in California, Los Angeles, Glendale to be specific, shout out, when you were 5 years old. I think I know like a very simplified version of the story. I know the highlights, the bullet points, but I've never, even when you filled out your guest informational, you included details I had no idea about. So if you don't mind indulging us, take us back to the beginning. Where did it all start for you? How did Selin become LA's most precious gem?
love you. So going back, and not to go off on too many tangents, but my
You're allowed.
parents, thank you. My parents wanted to leave Iran and just come to join the rest of our family that was out in California already. Tehran wasn't necessarily what my parents grew up in. It had changed. Just a lot of political reasons and just they wanted a better future for their children, for me and my sister. So that was where their journey started. We immigrated out of Tehran into Madrid. So we were in Madrid for a year. I wish I remembered more of it, but I was 4 or 5 years old. So I know more of what stories were told. Some crazy times, you know, where we didn't necessarily know what food we were purchasing from the grocery store, but we had to like utilize all our resources. So my dad ended up being the one that would eat the interesting food that me and my sister as kids didn't want to eat, you know. But all jokes. We left Madrid and then we ended up in Glendale, California, and I have not left since without other than like traveling. So let's get like deeper in Madrid. So we're there. Me and my sister are young. I started kindergarten there. Or preschool, kindergarten. And my sister went up till 4th grade in Spain. So she definitely knew the language more, all the above. But yeah, we were there for a little over a year. And so quickly adapted as much as we could. But during that process, so, you know, there's translators that come into play because there's so many different people involved.
I have a
yes.
question. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
Where exactly were you staying? Was it a refugee camp?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's a good question. Definitely like a refugee camp. Think of it like a hotel-esque where it's, you know, certain units.
Okay.
But lunch was at a specific time, dinner was at a specific time, you know, very set.
You lived on a campus of sorts. Like you weren't permitted to leave.
You were permitted to leave because
Okay.
like we would go to school, come back,
okay.
like you could get your own groceries and you know, essentials, but there was like a set lunch and a set dinner. There was like a big cafeteria, and everyone would meet there at that time, and that's when you would all like dine together.
All refugee families? And were these all families trying to get into the US or were
Yeah.
they trying to go elsewhere?
U.S. Yeah.
Okay,
For the
so it
most
was like
part.
a US refugee camp?
Yes.
Okay.
There's Armenians, there's Persians, there's different language barriers that we all have to go through in order to get, our paperwork approved to get to, the
Mhm.
final destination, the United
Mhm.
States. But what happened was we were told towards the end of like this process that
Yeah.
the translator that was like handling 70 to 80 cases
Mhm.
had to go into emergency surgery. We all were like, wish them the best, but this means that, these 80 families are going to have to stay afloat, stay in
In the
limbo.
camp?
Yeah, in the camp.
There was
in a
one
limbo.
translator for everyone there?
That was the case, and I don't know what the situation was. I can't remember, but it was going to take a while to get a replacement translator. It's not
Interesting.
it's one of those government businesses where I guess
Okay.
it's not as easy as just like bring on a new crew member.
Oh, because like clearance and
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm
And also
assuming.
like finding someone who can speak multiple
Is in Spain
languages.
but can speak
Okay.
English and Farsi or Armenian. So it was like, I guess that played a
Okay.
factor too.
And
Yeah.
are you talking about there's like 80 Armenian families specifically, or was it the whole camp is 80?
The whole camp was 80 families. There were
Okay.
different, it wasn't all Armenians. So,
Mhm.
from what I remember, the languages that were spoken was Armenian, Farsi, and English for the most
Okay.
part.
What was the vibe of the camp? Like, did you like it there? Was it bad vibes? Was it, I mean, from your 5-year-old perspective?
From what I've been told or what my sisters told me stories
Mhm.
of, the word like refugee camp sounds like scarier and weirder.
It
It was
does.
literally like 80 families, like just in it together. Like some days were a little bit harder. My mom being a vegetarian, it was very hard for her. She hasn't eaten meat since she was 4 years old. It's like a set menu, you
Oh,
go in and it's like a
God.
big, beautiful plate of meat, but here she is. She's like, I
They're
can't
like
do
hot
this.
dogs and hamburgers. Welcome to the US.
Exactly. So it's difficult times, but I think we were, we adapted, and
Mhm.
my dad ate sweet yogurt when we thought we were getting tart yogurt, and
Oh,
he
LOL.
survived. He did what he had
Not
to do.
sweet yogurt.
You know what I mean? But it was just like when you're expecting
Yeah.
to get something
Were
from
you
the
all
store.
allowed to cook on your own, or did you just not have the space or setup to cook?
Yeah, no, like in unit kitchen. Yeah,
So what was it like, your living situation?
interesting because
Go on.
I will dabble in this. My mom is a genius because she's a vegetarian and she had to make do with what she could. So she would buy a rice, and then
Okay.
she would buy tomatoes, right? For red rice, like the simplest,
Yum.
or even just regular rice, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is there's no stove in your unit. So she would flip over an iron, like clothes
No
iron,
way.
flip it over and put the pot on
Oh
the iron
my
and
God.
and make food. And the funniest thing is the smell. I mean, it's gonna smell like delicious rice in
Yeah.
the unit, and like we could get in trouble. Like,
Really?
yes, but
I guess
all
it
of our
kind of
neighbors,
is a hazard.
yes, definitely a hazard cooking on an iron. But our
I've heard
neighbors,
worse.
our neighbors had her back
Because they were
No
like,
one-
as long
yeah.
as we get a little bit.
Literally, it was that, and they also were like, she needs to eat something. Like, if she doesn't
Yeah.
eat meat, like
God, poor woman.
Yeah.
How long were you all there for?
13 months, so a little
Damn.
over a year. Yeah, so we went through a rough winter too.
What was rough about it, if you don't mind me asking?
Just 4 people living in one little unit. Like, think of it as like a hotel room, basically.
Okay. Like a
Um,
one-room situation?
Exactly.
Got
Yeah,
it.
one room, one bed. Like, I'm pretty sure it was a king bed, and it was like mom and dad on the outsides, and then me and sis in the middle. So
Mhm.
we did what we had to do, but yeah. From what I've heard of stories, like the winter wasn't too easy because it would get really cold.
And resources were tight. And
Yeah.
how did they even pack up their whole lives? Or did you all not take hardly anything?
Mind-boggling. We basically didn't take too much.
Mhm.
And that's another thing, right? My dad can't work and provide for his family while he's
In a
chilling
camp.
in a
Yeah.
camp, So it was like, we're just gonna have to make do with what we can, and then we'll pick back up and basically rebuild in
Damn.
California. Yeah.
So all these families trying to apply for citizenship and move to the US, when they go to these camps, they're literally just kind of in lockdown until they're approved to leave. Like, you can't work in that country. You don't. It's like you have to save up and live off that money and then have
Basically.
enough to help support yourself when you eventually do hit US soil?
Yeah.
Wow,
basically.
that's a lot.
And then, like at least my family, we're so fortunate. My mom's mom was already in America. So
Okay.
you already know, yes, it's definitely going to be hard uprooting your entire life and moving over. But we did have a support system, my mom's cousins. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So you had open arms waiting for you.
Definitely open arms waiting for us, which made things a little bit
Sure.
better. And, you knew there was like light at the end
Okay.
of the tunnel.
You're like, all right, there'll be a familiar face when we get all through this. And did you all immediately stay with grandma or cousins?
Yeah, we were with grandma and grandpa for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just had to do our thing, move. We moved very close, like a few streets over from my grandparents.
Okay.
And we've been
cool.
in Glendale ever since. Yeah.
Wow. So they were there first. Who was the first family member to move to Glendale? Do you remember?
Probably my grandma and grandpa. Yeah.
And what made them choose Glendale? I'm just curious.
That was like the Armenian community. Like that
okay.
was, if
Armenian hub.
yeah,
in the US.
basically Armenian hub. I mean, it's very diverse. I'm not going to say it's like 100% Armenians,
Right.
but if you did know a person or two, it was from Glendale, and
Mhm.
then it started to have branched out into like some of those other cities that we habitate in.
Glendale is the most concentrated area of Armenians in the US, I believe,
Yes,
right?
Yes. I don't want to say quote me on that, but I'm like,
I'll fact check it. That's
We have a
the mecca
very
for
big
Armenians. That's where
diaspora,
you go
yeah.
if you need community, if you need the grocery stores you're used to, all the things that are customary to your culture. And yeah, I get that because moving to a foreign country is already hard enough.
you said that, and it's hilarious because every time I come out here, I'll try my best to like bring bread that I know the girls will love.
To
'cause
New
they have-
York?
yeah.
Bread.
Mhm.
I've never
Like
heard
fluffy.
of people not being able to get good bread in New York. Tell me everything.
It's
Drag us.
It's just it's our bread. It's bad baddie. So it's different.
Okay.
You've had it with me, I'm sure, but it's pulled by the finger and then it's like sesame on
Okay.
top. So it's a delicacy to us. It's out
There's
here.
nowhere-
I've had it in Brooklyn, but it's just also, I don't know, it's like a piece of home with me when I come visit them.
Get it. That's sweet. So you bring, how many Armenian friends do you have about here in New York?
3 of them are from LA that live here.
Love.
They're the 3 roomies. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they've met a few Armenians here and there. And if I've been in town, but I don't know too many Armenians out here. So if you
Okay.
are in New York and you're Armenian, shout out.
You once upon a time told me I think I know every Armenian in LA.
Probably. You know that whole you don't go out to the grocery store in your hometown without putting makeup
Yeah.
on or whatever. No, I'm living in my hometown still. So it's like all the time.
Well, the first time I visited you in Glendale, I went to where you live and you were like, everyone in this building is my family, but like 2 or 3 units.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You're like, no, every single person in this building I'm related to. And then we're walking through, you're like, hey, like, hi. And you're like, that's my cousin. That's my, what? I'm like, are you serious? Like you weren't being dramatic. You're like, no, everyone lives in this apartment complex, which I thought was so cool and so kind of sitcom-y. But I think that's just more customary in other cultures outside of being Caucasian because we're all like, let's get away as far as possible from our families.
Listen, I respect that too because sometimes it is a little overwhelming. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like
I remember you're like, everyone's in my business all the time. I have to be discreet if I'm trying to hide something. Like, not saying you're like a delinquent or doing
Right.
nefarious things, but like, I remember being with you and you're like, we're just going to sit in the car for a minute because I really don't feel like talking to this person right now. And I was like,
so me.
LOL.
That's so me. But it's almost like I'm walking out with a suitcase, right? Oh, where are you going? What are you doing? I'm like, I'm gonna
You're like,
travel. I
I'm-
want to keep it short and sweet.
You're like, do I have to give you a play-by-play?
Right? My mom doesn't even ask me this many questions.
LOL. We got off on a little bit of a tangent, but I want to go back to the camps of it all. So the person who's the translator who's overseeing your cases has to have emergency surgery. Then what?
So then, we've all been there for a few months and I can't concentrate because she's so sweet.
Mooney just crashed the set. Hey, Moo. She wants to go to the window
Yeah.
and bird watch. She's just passing through. She is so disinterested in the set these days. It's really hurting my feelings. I was like, you are my co-host.
Back to my mom. So someone somewhere had found out like my mom is trilingual, Farsi, English, and Armenian. And so my parents were not allowed to work while they were there. There was strict rules, but they said we wouldn't be able to pay you. But yeah, these are the terms. Like, we're not going to be able to pay you, but if you help translate, that is going to, stop this whole delay and we're going to be able to like continue to work on these cases while, our original translator had to go into that emergency surgery. So my mom, of course, she's like, anything that I can do to help.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what various missions they had my mom on, but she was a translator, however much she could.
I'm gonna book your mom as a guest.
I'm assuming there was someone that knew Spanish and English, and then that's where my mom came in and was the Armenian and Farsi side of it, and then it went from English to English over to whatever needed to be happening in Spanish. So my mom really was like one of the main reasons that 80 families didn't get delayed in the process and were able to come and start their lives sooner than later. Yeah.
That's incredible. She's a hero.
I think so too. Not only for this story, but I think so too. But it's awesome. Like we'll be at the grocery store again, small town, and they'll just be like, Manya, you don't remember? Like we were in Spain together.
People from the camps you run
Yes.
into? Oh my
Yes.
God, no way.
And they're like, yeah.
That's so special.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
Wow. I was going to ask if your family ever kept in touch with any of the families they met.
Yeah. Not like super close, but again, we all kind of end up in LA area for the most part. And so it's cool to just run into people once in a while and know that like my mom
That's
helped.
insane.
Yeah.
You're like, I knew you in another lifetime in another world.
I know.
That's wild because now how many years has it been? Not to age you.
Not to age me, but we got to Cali in 1996.
Okay.
So
28.
Yeah. It'll be almost 30 years.
Wow. Props to your mom. I am a little frustrated that she wasn't fairly compensated but I'm sure it like helped your family's case. Did they kind of like push your papers up to the stack?
They 100% pushed our papers up to the stack. And again, they said, look, you really helped us out. Like we, again, couldn't pay you. Is there anything we can do for you? And my mom said, I want to make sure that everyone that I've been here from day one at this camp is going to go with me. I always get a little like, it's my allergies. No, but she said it's not going to be a win for me if everyone that I've been in this process with isn't getting the good news that I'm getting. And so this is actually I can't believe I almost missed this best part, but they told her she can go back to the camp and tell everybody that everyone's case is, So she was the one that gave the news. We had a huge party and then everyone started getting on their flights little by little. Yeah.
That's so special.
I know.
What an incredible moment of humanity. That just speaks so much to her character. She could have been just like, I'm getting my family out. I need to put my head down, do what I need to do. But no, she showed up as an advocate and a champion for her community and really helped advocate for so many people who their lives were better for it.
And you know what? It was definitely like a very communal 13 months together. Like I said, no one told on my mom when she was cooking rice in the room when she wasn't supposed to, So it was very much like, I got your back as much as I can and vice versa. And I think that's what really was like, she was like, I'm not leaving without everyone else that has been going through the same thing with me. One way or another, everyone was there for each other. And that's what my mom could do at the time for everybody. So
I love
cool.
that. And I will say in my time getting to know more Armenian people and get to observe and partake in your culture and community, one thing about Armenians, they are so loyal to each other. Y'all have each other's back to the blood. Like truly.
Yeah.
Every single Armenian I've ever met is just like, those are my brothers, those are my sisters.
Yeah.
I love it.
I wish we could always, always, always be more of that.
course.
I think every culture can. But yeah, like you mentioned, the Armenian diaspora is really, really big in Glendale and LA. And I love to see us coming together. I love seeing a fellow Armenian on TikTok getting their time to shine. I definitely support, me. I love people in general. I support all people and Armenians. And I think we can always do a little more. But yes, we are
That's beautiful.
we are pretty loyal to each other.
Selin for president. You're actually the first Armenian person I ever met. Can you believe?
I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that I got a chance to come visit your hometown. I saw you in Charlotte.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you have traveled.
We
out
did
to
our
the
road trip. Do you
North
remember our road
Carolina.
trip?
Yeah, that
was
was
fun.
Crazy.
That
That was the
was
first time you saw Amish people.
Yes, yes. That was-
Selena's truly a West Coast girl, so her beautiful mind was absolutely rocked when we drove through Amish country.
Yes.
Where were we? Like Pennsylvania?
Idaho? No, that's not possible.
Ohio.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Celine also did not like 5th grade geography. So, I always joke about it. I was like, I know more about the European, like Western Europe, because we learned it in our study abroad program versus like, I don't remember 5th grade
I get it.
geography.
I feel like you also, when you're a kid that grows up in a really popular place, it's kind of bubble and you're like, nothing is outside of here.
I know that's bad to say, but also I'm like somewhere
New
in
York
the
and California
Midwest.
kids are like that, in my
Yeah.
opinion. When you live in somewhere else that's like middle of the road. You're always dreaming about going to the bigger places. Like
Yeah.
me, I always wanted to be in New York, go figure. But
You've been here?
I also have ties to New York, so whatever.
You do. And you've been here for like
6 years.
Yeah.
My entire family is from upstate New York originally. Like I was born in Rochester, New York. It's on my birth certificate. And I lived there for 5 years. And then I immigrated to the South with my family. We have that in common.
Right.
Our immigration story is a little different. But yeah, that was definitely a cultural shift. But I'm glad we moved because I loved my life for the most part growing up in North Carolina. I think I got a lot more opportunities and it just opened up my worldview a lot more because I lived in like farmland, upstate New York, very small, very tiny. And that's absolutely fine if that's your thing. I don't think I would have ever been super fulfilled or challenged in the right ways there. But I say that with love and I am appreciative of my roots.
You gotta be. That's how I feel about leaving Iran. I mean, I got the opportunity to go back with my mom in 2018. So beautiful culture shock. I was like 3-ish, 4, between leaving Iran and landing in Cali. So I was even smaller when I left there. So it was beautiful to see my family that is there and just like see the culture and
That was your first time back since leaving. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about Iran now. What are your thoughts? Tell us about your
Beautiful.
time.
Yeah, I think not to get into too much of the politics, but this is before everything happened with the movement on the hijab with the women. So I was really like embracing the hijab and I loved it. And my cousin over there had like 1,000,001 colors that I could choose from. So it was becoming a part of my fashion style and a lot of beautiful places there. They've really built up. I mean, I'm going to butcher the names. My mom's going to laugh, my mom and dad, when I say it. But I went to some beautiful places like Darband. There's just gorgeous, gorgeous places there and so full of life. And one way or another, it's my people. So it was such an awesome experience to have with my mom.
I love that. Can you explain the hijab thing for people who might not know what you're referring to?
Yes. Let me go back on what the hijab is and the significance of it. In Iran and Middle Eastern countries, the hijab is worn above the woman's hair so that it's protected. The hair is like very precious and should only be seen in family settings and intimate settings. And so when I went back in 2018, you were showing a little bit of bangs. So it was, it was getting pushed back a little bit. But with this movement, I think it was just more of like the youth in Iran, especially the women, just kind of getting over the fact that they need to be dressed in a specific way because with the hijab comes this kind of coat that you have to wear that needs to be a certain length.
Okay, so there's like restrictions
Rules,
for women.
dress codes. Literally, there's dress code police over there.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. They have different like branches of police. One set only
Jesus.
gives traffic tickets. One set is only for dress codes. So on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
A lot of women started rebelling. This kind of led into some not so wanted deaths. But the movement really truly has made an impact. Women are wearing their hijab less and less. There's specific areas that you just wear it out of respect, but it's way less of a dress code necessity. Another such silly thing is that you weren't allowed to dance like on the streets. Women and men couldn't hold hands. There's like such specific rules, and yes, you get away with it here and there. If you're married, you're allowed to hold your spouse's hand, but just young teenagers can't be, be just lovebirds on the streets. They can't express their emotions and their happiness through music and through art in that sense. So a lot has changed now. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's a lot of videos of just women and men, like girls and boys dancing on the streets. So yeah, when I went to Iran, it was before this had happened. I still loved my experience there, but I just love that. I don't love how this movement came about, of course, because there was people that got hurt.
Right, of course.
But that's sometimes what you have to go through in order to make a change.
They sacrificed, not willingly, but I mean, they were heroes for the cause, truly.
Yeah.
During my time at Now This, we definitely covered a lot of stories there, and my heart is with those women that fought for their rights and unfortunately lost their lives or were traumatized, injured in some way, but they've been heroes for their country and they're womankind there. Yeah.
Definitely.
Is that a big reason your parents wanted to move? Because a little bit on your family background, it's your mom, your dad, and your older sister. So they have two young girls. Did they want to specifically move out of Iran because it sounds particularly like it was oppressive for women?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, again, it's not easy because as humans, I think we adapt to anywhere we are, especially if it's for a longer period of time. So
Yeah.
it wasn't easy for my parents to pick up and leave. Again, when I went back in 2018, I was totally okay after day 2 of wearing the hijab, going back into my culture, you know, like that's something that I know and is a part of me and a root
Mhm.
of me. But my dad knew that like maybe, you know, he can live his life and not have to necessarily like live under restrictions, but
Mhm.
having 2 daughters, like that's not what
Yeah.
he wanted. And you know, this is going back when my parents did want to stay there and live there. This is like back in the 70s before some
Mhm.
movements happened, like before
Mhm.
the revolution. So after the revolution, a lot changed and it wasn't the Iran that my parents knew it to be.
Mm.
Think before the revolution, Iran was very on par with like Europe and like, you know, it was
A lot more
a lot
lax.
more lax.
Okay,
Exactly. It
got
was
it.
like vacation, you know, destination. But
Wow.
after it had changed. But I think this now movement is taking us in the right direction.
Well, I hope so
But
for your
please do some research if you are listening and interested in this because I did like really, really give you like surface level
Yeah.
of the movement. So
No,
yeah.
but thank you for sharing and a little cultural IQ for the day. We can always learn a little bit about each other. But I love that your parents had the foresight and just they wanted more for you both. And I'm sure there was lots of concerns about your safety in general. So yeah, props to them for sacrificing a lot to come over to the US. And now looking back, do you feel like it was definitely worth it for your family? I know you can really only speak for yourself, but
Yeah, I think it was definitely worth it. Lot more. I'm not saying there's no opportunities there, but I
of
think
course.
like the possibilities are endless here. My grandmother, my mom's mom, had my mom study abroad. So my mom was like,
Really?
yeah,
Where'd she
so
go?
in England, which
Oh,
helped with the English.
cute.
Yes. So my mom knew that like, you know, she was a little bit more modern in that
Mhm.
sense. So had it been me not going to college here, would I have been sitting on your couch right now? I would have
Yeah,
met you studying abroad. You know, I think there was a lot more opportunities that we were able to take advantage of here. And
definitely.
it's just a completely different life. Like, I'm not saying life over there isn't wonderful, but it's just
Mhm.
different world, I would say.
Better suited for you and your family's needs.
Yeah.
It seems like you all have flourished in the almost 30 years you've been there. You have a beautiful community and you're very close with your family still to this day. They're awesome. Shout out to them. Hi. No, it's very evident you're super appreciative to your family. Every time I've observed you interact with them, you're just so loving and doting and giving and also very prideful of that, like proud of them, you know? So it definitely
Oh,
shows.
I love that you could see that.
Of
That's a
course.
reflection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you love your family. I've always known that about you. Life growing up in LA. Tell us everything.
Growing up in LA has been a blessing. I've had the same group of friends since we were 13. So this is
Love.
like 20 years of friendship. So it's almost like I can be like, hey, mom and dad, I'm going to the other side of the world with my friends. And they'll be like, all right, what time's the flight? Have fun, be safe.
Mhm.
So I've had the privilege of like growing up with a group of sisters outside of my sister
Mhm.
too.
I've had the pleasure of meeting quite a few of them. You have a loyal bunch of people. Describe Glendale in 3 words.
Busy,
Okay.
lively,
Love.
and cultured.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds like a home run of a place. I can say that I've been there. Let's talk about college. So, you graduated high school in what year?
2009.
As you were growing up, were there any expectations put on you at home? Like, did your family want you to pursue certain career paths, or were you able to choose your career path? Tell me a little bit about that.
I think it's a little bit of both, right? Because what parent doesn't want like the top of the top job? And I say that with air quotes because it's like lawyer, doctor, you know, that's
Yeah.
what we think is,
The
that's what our,
typical immigration,
Exactly.
child, parent pipeline. situation.
exactly. Yeah. But I think like my parents trusted me. I first wanted to go into economics and then I took like 1 or 2 classes and I was like, okay, whoa, calm down.
What made you decide?
I loved my professor. And then I was like,
That's
that's
funny.
you know, it's not going to be
Hilarious.
Yeah. When I told my parents I was going into marketing, they had a little bit of like doubts because this is like,
Huh.
you know, a few years back. Ads
Did they?
make the
Did
world
it
go
sound
around
like a
now.
bogus degree to them?
Yeah.
LOL.
you know what? I feel like this is me. Okay, Dad, just let me do it. And all jokes aside, they really trusted me in the process, and I kind of did my thing. And like you said, I did startup life. And then my friend Zar, she's been in media life for a while, and she told me, she's like, just let me know when you're ready to come to this side. And I'm happy I did it. Yeah.
She knew. She's like, you're going to love it here, but you're on your own journey.
Yeah.
Let's back up. You went to Woodbury University, which is in Burbank, which is basically you stayed home for college.
Yes.
What went into that decision?
I didn't want to leave the state, no. And like considering that we have such great schools, like we have the UCLA and the
You're right.
USCs.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that I didn't get in, but I didn't get in to some of those top schools.
Their loss.
I think what balanced out, like I really wanted that college life, right? Like I wanted to move out, live in a dorm. I thought it was going to be the best thing ever. I didn't end up doing that. I lived one city over, which was a blessing because I would drive home in between classes and eat like home food, which I loved. So it was a win there. And then another thing that I did, one of my friends, Joita, that I went to college with.
Shout out Joita.
Shout out Joita. Me and her, we kind of were both lived in Glendale, both went to Burbank, but both also wanted to study abroad life, right? So we looked up programs and we found Forum Nexus, the best study abroad program out there. And we just did it. We went for it. It sounded crazy. I picked the college close to home, but I did that extravagant 1 month away from college, and I took 2 courses and I met lifelong friends.
Okay, so this is our intersection moment. This is how Selin and I met. We are friends from studying abroad. So Forum Nexus is a multi-country summer study abroad program that's pretty much always based in Europe. And we both went on the 2014 cohort year, and that's how we met.
Yes, we met on the 2014 cohort year, and then we're inseparable. Not at the beginning. Not at the beginning. We really didn't like
drag me.
No, not even dragging you. I think we just didn't like. There was a big group of people on that trip, and between classes, and you know, I had come with a friend, so I had like my bestie there. You know what I mean? Like it took us a while to like have a conversation, and I think that ultimately was like, oh my god, I love this girl. Why did it take us so long to have this convo?
When we were finally really clicking in like Italy and Greece, which is the end part of the program, I was like, fuck.
I know.
Because that year was really clicky, I can say that.
Yeah.
It was. And you are also just a few years older than me, so I probably just assumed you didn't want to be my friend or something stupid. I was so young at the time. I think I was 20. I was a totally different person, I feel like, in some ways then.
Same.
You were so beloved. You were a shining star. And the more I got to talk to you, I was like, oh my God, she's so nice. And she's so pretty.
Oh, I love you.
And that's how I know Joita as well. We really started to click in Italy and Greece. Yeah. And then I was like, wait, I fucked up. I should have been friends with them. I should have been close with them the whole time, but it's okay. We started visiting each other over the years, and then Selin and I went on to work for the program for a few summers after that, where we had the tea of our L's.
Yeah.
It was fun. I've spent many a summer with you.
Yeah.
I've lived many a life with you.
Honestly, yes. And I can say
unreal.
10 out of 10 roomie.
Oh my gosh, yes. You were one of my favorite roommates of all time.
We just got along really well. And I think like, again, I like that. I mean, I wish we had more time that first year that we were studying, but I think like we learned so much about ourselves too, obviously. And then whatever time we did kind of like become friends, I was like, okay, this girl's going to be in my life for a very long time. And then we ended up working for the program, and I really would not want to do it with anyone else.
I look back on that time so fondly because that's how I spent the first few years of my 20s, was working for a study abroad program and being abroad and meeting people from all over the world and getting these one-of-a-kind awesome cultural experiences. I wasn't making 2 nickels to rub together, but I was getting to travel the world, and with my best friends. It was you and Nick at the time, my absolute best friends, and we were just absolute fools.
Yeah.
Together.
Absolute fools. And like there was some tough ass days where we didn't make it to the market to get food to eat.
Listen. Okay, so here's the thing. So when we started working for the program, and I say this with love, we were glorified babysitters for college students. So when you're working for a program, you're doing all the logistics. You're doing like hotel rooms and luggage and helping the professors with their curriculum, as in like printing out papers and stapling tests together, and sometimes helping them grade, and just anything the program needed to survive, to stay afloat, we did. Like we were doing everything from taking kids to the doctors if they needed, to buying birthday cakes and candles if it was someone's birthday.
Or tracking their phones that they got stolen and their parents were sending them a new phone.
Gosh, no,
like,
we've seen some.
shout out to everybody. We've all had some challenges while abroad, but
no, that
glorified babysitting.
And I say that with love, but it was basically a lot of American kids just going buck wild because they could drink legally and they were like away from home and they're having a fun summer, but they're also doing some college credits, so like the parents approve, and they're just sat on these trips. So it was a very nice trip, like top of the line hotels. Multi-country, like chartered buses. It was a fancy study abroad program, I'll say that.
And well thought out. Shout out Hugo Hurwitz. He has his formula locked.
Yes. Hugo Hurwitz is the founder of Forum Nexus Study Abroad. I think he's been doing it 30 years now or something, but shout out Hugo. I would love to have you on the show. This is an open invite if you're watching. He's not. But I will be calling him and getting him to be on the show. He owes me.
I love that.
I helped him for 4 years anyways.
I love that. He will be on the show at some point, and it'll be such a great combo.
Hugo is one of the most special people I've ever met. But no, those were truly some of the times, capital T, of my life. I don't think I've laughed harder or experienced that level of joy since.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's depressing to think about because I have a wonderful, beautiful, full life. Like, I feel really lucky to have the life I have. I am just weary if I'll ever be able to have that much fun again.
I know.
Because also I was a different person. Like, I was willing to be a little more uncomfortable. I was a little like, I was willing to do anything just to have fun, and I'm not quite that same person anymore. But
oh my God, can you imagine you and I going back as like
Selin
coming out of retirement to baby glorified babysitters?
I just went to Europe to be a literal babysitter to my 8-month-old nephew. Shout out Jet Easton Smith. You're the love of my life.
Cutie pie.
I was the whole time like panicking. I felt like a dog trapped inside of a hot car trying to get out. There was an air conditioner unit to be found. Obviously, it's Europe. I was fighting for my life not to get a yeast infection the entire time. I was like, how did I do this for 4 years of my early 20s?
Yeah.
I'm talking about every pore in my body leaking sweat, and I just was vibing. I was like, I'm here with my best friends. I don't care.
Yeah.
How bad did I smell? Be honest. Be frank with me.
No, you did not.
Okay, thank God. Because I think about that all the time. I was like, I've also gotten so much cuter since then. Can we just take a moment? Thank God.
You've always been cute. Shut up.
Anyways, can you indulge the audience on some of your favorite moments from Forum Nexus? What are some of your favorite memories?
When we left those girls in Chamonix. I'm just kidding. That wasn't a favorite memory, but that was freaking hilarious.
Okay, some okay, we had departure times, and sometimes the students did not make it. So we would give them instructions on how to get to the next city, but like we couldn't hold up the entire group if we had these pending reservations. So yeah, sometimes some 20, 21, 22, 23-year-olds, okay, they were fine.
Yeah. Got
left behind, and they were in a buddy system, and they had to get to the next city.
It just sucked that it was that city, because Chamonix is really hard to get in and out of.
I wouldn't have left.
Yeah. I'll catch you guys in Greece at the end.
That's also where our obsession of Chamonix comes from, because that's one of the stops on the trip. And it's this beautiful mountain town in the French Alps. It's absolutely picturesque. It's like out of a Disney fairy tale story. Yeah. Like truly the most stunning place in the world I've ever been. And it's really off the beaten path. So everyone's like, what the fuck is Chamonix? We don't want to go here. And everyone pulls up and they're like, oh my God. Like, it blows everyone's mind. And without fail, almost every single student says Chamonix is their favorite place every single time.
Yeah.
It's so special.
That's like one of the most special stops on that program.
Yeah.
And I think
about it every
Hugo
day.
knows that, and that's why he keeps it on there. But it's like the most perfect little town.
Perfect. I'm gonna insert pictures and videos.
I think that part of the trip also really brings everyone together.
Totally.
Because it's like I'm bound to walk into you whether you're doing laundry or I'm at the monkey bar down the street, because it's like
RIP.
It's a small. I know. I heard it closed down, and I was like,
it's a wine bar now, but I will say the wine bar is good.
Okay.
I went there.
Okay.
When I got to go like a year and a half
Maybe
ago.
they needed to do a wine bar, because that place got rowdy with
it. Did,
liquor.
but Monkey Bar was iconic. If you know, you know.
Do you remember when my hair burnt? We would always be there for Bastille Day, right? So that's French Independence Day, and they were doing fireworks indoors. Do you remember? 100% not allowed.
Oh my God, I forgot. Yeah.
And one of the little, like, I guess table fireworks, obviously not like the crazy ones, but one of the fire things like literally burned like a chunk of my hair off here.
Oh God.
Because it was like,
that's crazy.
Fell flat on my head. But I was like, hey, we're in
Were you there the year that Hugo rolled up blowing the whistle in the bar? Where like all of a sudden we hear like doot 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 from outside. It just gets it starts off like doot 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 doot, and then it just got louder and louder. And he comes in the bar and he's like doot 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 doot.
He's so funny. I feel like I've seen it.
Hugo's
Or
a
all his
character.
dances in the butt. Like he was such a great time.
The bus dance-offs are some of my favorite memories of all time. So most of the time, I would say the cohorts each summer varied from like 50 students to 90. Like it could be a huge range. So sometimes there was one bus, sometimes there were two. One year there was three. But we would often have dance-offs on the bus, and think about it's kids of different countries going up against each other. So you have an Indian kid dancing against an Egyptian kid, and then a US kid dancing against like it just got buck wild and so much freaking fun.
Yeah. Especially because it was like diverse music too, so you didn't know what was coming up.
That's one thing about Hugo Hurwitz. He always had playlists cranking on those buses. Lots of Latin music, which I loved because I was like, the most culture I had was like salt and pepper, you know? So this was like, it really opened up my worldview. But like, I was painfully white.
Listen,
I still am, but
you admit it, and
but I was like, wow, I have so much to
you're
learn.
cultured. Yes,
I will say the biggest way study abroad changed my life is I definitely was an American kid who was very indoctrined by this country, being like, we're the greatest country in the world, and rah, 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 America's the best, number one, like, we'll eat you for breakfast, like weirdly competitive. And then going abroad and seeing other countries and their infrastructure and how they operate, and learning their laws and about their different religions and their customs and traditions. It just like, for the first time in my life, I was like, this isn't a competition.
Yeah.
Like, we're all allowed to just coexist. And also, America isn't the best country, number one in the world. If we want to start showing stats, like we fall behind and miss the mark on so many things when it pertains to quality of life, that a lot of these other countries have gotten it right and do it infinitely better than us. So it really like brought me down a peg in the best way, where I was like, okay, yeah, like I like being an American. I feel grateful I grew up in America. I don't really have any plans to move abroad, but it gave me such a deep appreciation for other countries. And also like I kind of like got my head out of like Uncle Sam's ass, and I'm like, we're not the best country in the world, in like a good way. Like I can critically think about this country now in a much more healthy way.
1000%
Like I don't wake up
with
saying
you.
the Pledge of Allegiance anymore. Every morning, thank God.
Anyways, long story short, yes, I love Europe, and I don't think America is the best. We have great things going for us here, but
Look, you can love something and not always like it. It's okay. It's healthy, actually.
yeah. One of my absolute favorite things that I've
Please.
ever gotten to do is go in Switzerland on a kayak and like get a full-on documentary done with my best friends.
Oh, that was cute.
That was
yeah.
shameless plug if you want to pop in
I
the
will.
link to.
Okay, one summer, a videographer followed us around for the whole summer and made a documentary about our program. And we got an intimate interview. It was me, you, and Nick. So Nick, Selin, and I were the three best friends that anyone could ever have. We were literally obsessed with each other. We did everything together. We called ourselves the fam. We just were a united trio, and we worked the summers together. We were interviewed by the videographer Cornelius. Shout out, love you. And now that exists. I'll definitely put in a clip from it here.
And that was for their 25th anniversary, right? That's
I
why
believe
it was.
so.
Yeah.
It was
So
just like
that
also
was
like
really
a
cool.
good marketing material move. Yeah.
Cornelius videography, fantastic.
Stunning.
Fantastic.
Stunning.
Yeah.
I also appreciate like that's how Lauda came into our lives, and
Yes.
she's one of my dearest friends to this day. I love her so much.
She was our photographer, yes. And videographer, but she was
Yeah.
like
yeah.
on Cornelius's
Yeah.
team.
We had a little media team. That was great.
That was one of my favorite years just because it felt so cool to be part of such a cool program, but also I was like, I am so fortunate to be even in a snippet of this like film that's gonna, exist.
At that time, I was aware this is so cool to be a part of these kids' lives, experiencing life outside of their home country for a lot of them for the first time ever, and getting to grow and learn with them throughout 6 weeks of the summer, which when you're with someone every single day for 6 weeks, like you really get to know people. It's just an expedited relationship. So it felt more like I had known these people for like 3 or 6 months, have been traveling you guys with it for a significant amount of time. Those were really special days. Long, hard days for sure. And bratty kids from time to time. Yeah, I said it. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it now?
Did you not hear my story of the one that lost her phone and we had to like track DHL?
There was one girl who lost her phone 3 times. brand new iPhone sent every single time. And I was like, what do you mean? If that would have happened to me, my parents would have like,
My mom would have been
sucker.
like, guess you're talking to me on your computer until you get
Literally,
home.
like, talk to you in 6 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. But I did have a traumatic experience. I was a student and I was sitting in Switzerland and we were there for one day. Long story short, I bit into a sandwich, a very soft baguette with tomato and cheese inside. So nothing was like hard in there, but I have veneers. Shout out to my dad. My veneer broke. And do you remember this?
Yeah.
My veneer broke in half. Weird coincidence. Where we were eating, me and Joita at the cafe, right across the street in this beautiful high rise was a dentist,
Love it.
right? So I go to her office and I'm crying. I'm like, I'm gonna be like toothless for the rest of the program.
You're like, I cannot be ugly.
Like, what am I gonna? This is like my biggest nightmare. Okay. So, anyways, I'm crying, sobbing, and she was such a sweet, sweet lady. She's like, "Can you please stop crying? You're gonna make people think I made you cry." She glues my nail. I mean, glues my nail. Glues my tooth back together, and she told me to call my dentist right away and let him know what had happened. So I did. I
Your
called my
dad.
mom, not my dad, my cousin.
LOL.
Shout out to the best dentist ever. Dentist knows. He's like, okay, she's gonna have to just, you have to just, deal with it. And so I call my mom, and I'm like, Mom, this is what's happening. And mind you, we're students, okay? Yes, of course
Yeah.
I had like some savings with me, but this is not what I wanted to spend it on. The gluing of the tooth back together was $400. And then I went across all of the pharmacies in Switzerland, but I couldn't find a night guard. And I don't know if you know the night guards where,
Yes.
so that I wouldn't like break this temporary fix. No night guard to be found. Everywhere I went in the pharmacies, they were like, oh, we can have one ordered for you by tomorrow. And I was like, I leave tonight. So I went back to the dentist and it was a $500 to make a
Shut
personalized
up.
night guard. So $900 to glue my veneer back together in Europe, my first year. And my mom was like,
That
I guess you have a
sucks.
really expensive souvenir. And I was like, Mom, a mouth guard is not a souvenir. But
I
know.
Pretty my life. No, it sucks when something goes wrong health wise and you're not home and you're in a different
Yes.
country. It's so unnerving.
you're so kind to call it health-wise because it's definitely cosmetic. But
I'm sorry you need a tooth to eat.
yeah, the work is cosmetic. So like,
No,
I, didn't
I understand,
necessarily
but
need
like,
them.
I wouldn't.
But yeah, that was traumatic. But Joita was there. Shout out Joita and the Forum Nexus team member that took me
Yes.
around town to make me feel better.
Yeah.
Try to find me.
One of my favorite memories of you, and I'm sorry if this is triggering, but also that same summer at the end when we were in Greece, you stubbed your toe really bad and like
it's
broke your toenail.
Yeah.
And you laid in bed and sobbed as if your toenail had broken up with you and hit the road.
I know.
It wasn't like a cry of pain, it was devastation. Like I remember you called your boyfriend back home at the time and you're like, my toe. Like she was inconsolable in bed for hours. We're in Greece. We're on an island.
I know.
And she's like, and like I don't blame you. I think you were just like kind of at your wit's end. You're like, I'm ready to go home. I'm overtired. And now I just broke my toenail, and you're an LA girl. You care about how your feet look.
Not even that. I was like, I'm finally at like the Sheraton, this beautiful resort. Everyone is jumping around. And I was like, I'm not dipping this foot in the pool. Like,
I probably didn't get for it, kind of.
I said,
No,
but
you
I
were-
was such a baby about
You were
it.
devastated.
Yeah.
You were
I
just
don't
like,
do well
"My
with, yeah.
toe."
Yeah.
And I remember coming and being like, who died? And you're like, my toenail came off. I was like, I'm so sorry.
It didn't even come off. That's the problem. It just like cracked. Like, but I was scared. I was like, oh my God, if it stays in water,
Oh
it's
my
gonna.
God,
Like, I was
Selin.
just such a diva.
You were.
But shout out Joita
Yeah.
because she was such a good roommate. At one point, I put my foot up in the air in a heel stretch, and she helped me dip my body in. So I would get so dramatic.
Wait, I remember that. She was like holding you like a baby in the pool. You
Yes.
were
So dramatic.
funny. So, Selin, now is the time in the show where I must ask you the essential question, which is, what is something you'd like to be Fronk about?
I love this play on your last name. My God.
Clever, right?
I love it. I want to be Fronk about the fact that people need to just in general enjoy the simple things in life more. You've even taught me that. The last time I was here, we had a full day at the park, and it was like sometimes you really do just got to touch grass, hang out with your bestie.
Literally.
Yeah, we had chips, snacks, and some other stuff that we do together.
Substance from the earth.
Yes,
This is
exactly.
legalized state.
No, but it really is that. Enjoy the simple things in life.
What are the ways you enjoy simple things?
Wake up every morning and I try to be positive about my day It's not always, you know me. I can be a grumpy gal.
Yeah.
But I appreciate everyone that I
You
have.
don't want to see her when Gloria comes out.
Gloria and Felicity. I know you don't like Felicity, but
I'm surprised this is the first time you've said this because I gave Allie a heads up. I was like, she's probably going to call me Felicity the whole time. And she's like, why? I'm like, who knows? We will never know. Can you explain the Felicity thing?
I don't know. It's like Alyssa, Felicity. You don't see it?
No.
It's so you. Like Felicity. You're my Felicity.
She thinks I should have been named Felicity. She thinks I look and feel more like a Felicity. But I immediately think Colonial Williamsburg American Girl doll. Am I giving bonnet? I mean, I know I'm wearing a long dress today.
I never had an American Girl doll, so you can't judge me on that.
And I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I had 3.
You are my Felicity. I don't get Gloria. Well, I do get Gloria.
Okay, well, I nicknamed Gloria. I nicknamed Selin Gloria after, it's actually a nod to Orange is the New Black. Like that character on there, Gloria, is like super tough, super strong. And I was like, Selin is the exact same way. Like she's feisty. She holds her own. She'll like cut a bitch if she needs to. You'll cuss someone out if you need to. But like you're so fair. You don't just like come swinging for no reason. But you're not someone to be crossed.
I love that.
Yeah. So I was like, when Gloria comes out.
Yeah. You don't want Gloria to come out. Unless she's there to protect you.
Yeah, and I love to see her.
She'll be there
from time to time. Gloria's still funny though.
Yeah. And Felicity is just like an all-around gem. That's who Felicity is.
Okay.
Okay, but what were we talking about?
What are the simple things you enjoy?
Taking time to step away from my computer and work is not everything. I think it's just a compilation of like every little thing that I've done in my life, all the fun things we've talked about today. When I look back, I'm like, Europeans don't work until 8 p.m., 9 p.m. every day. You know, they get their siestas, they have their fun. So just taking little bits and pieces of what I enjoyed throughout what I've, had the honor of being able to do in my life and use that in my everyday. And I think a lot of that is like being close to family, enjoying the simple times and the little things with them. And also just like my health. I've been on this like health kick where I love to be at the gym by 3 or 3:30 p.m. I think that's like my way of saying like enough screen time with the computer and, me time.
You are taking work-life balance super seriously.
She is.
And I'm proud of you.
2024 was that for me. I was like,
I love that.
It's not rocket science. We're not, performing emergency surgeries. So media can wait.
That's so refreshing and healthy. Yeah.
As much as I love my job.
Of course, no,
like,
but you gotta refuel thyself. You gotta
Yes.
recharge thyself. You gotta take care of yourself. The whole oxygen mask theory, you have to put on your own oxygen mask before you can help someone else.
Yep.
I love that. I think simple, straightforward, but so important. So literally go touch grass.
There's literally a picture on my Instagram
Okay.
and the caption says, enjoy the simple things. And you took the picture. This is back in the day when I didn't give caption credit.
Chills up and down my
It
spine.
says, enjoy the simple things. And I don't remember if it was our favorite gelato place by the Trevi Fountain. And I have a Coke and an ice
That's
cream
one of
in
my
hand.
favorite pictures I've ever taken.
That's one of my favorite pictures because
Stop. Okay,
if
I'm actually very proud of that picture. I'm putting it in.
Okay. I love it.
I
love
low-key
love.
can snap a picture here and there.
Yes. No, 100%. But that's what it's all about to me. Like, yes, everyone loves fancy things and everyone loves the finer things, but like just that gelato and that Coca-Cola with my friends in that humid ass European night, like it was the simple things, the little things.
So sweet. You're such a grounded, grateful, optimistic person.
You got to
Truly
be.
a breath of fresh air.
I try
Thank
to
God. Everyone needs a Selin in their life, and I feel bad if you don't have one.
I love that. Everyone needs a Felicity in their life too.
I have such a like a resistance to Felicity. I'm always like, yeah, sure, okay. All right, Selin. So what's ahead? What you got going on?
Focused like 999% all on me.
Addicted?
So, yes. Yeah. I'm in my me era. So again, a lot of exercises. I'm dabbling in tennis with my friends, but they're like a little bit better than me. So I'm getting there. So
I'm excited. I didn't realize you were playing you probably told me and I probably forgot, but I was reading it in your guest information. I was like, oh my God, we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm on a tennis hiatus at the moment, but I'm really glad you are partaking and having fun with your friends.
Yeah.
That's cute. I wish we could play.
I know. That'd be fun. But you would kick my ass.
Fun.
You would teach me a thing or two.
Selin, I can't thank you enough for making the time to be here, for taking a red eye from LA out to be on the set of Let Me Be Fronk. Just kidding. Her work flew her out, but I'm glad our schedules aligned so we could do this because I've always knew I was going to have you on the show. I just didn't know I'd be so lucky to have you on as my 9th guest.
Such an honor, and I could talk to you all day long, and I'm so again honored and fortunate to be a part of your beautiful project that
thank you.
You were meant to do.
Thank you. I really do appreciate your support. I'm not just saying that. You have been paramount in encouraging me and giving me feedback and just hyping me up. So thank you so much. And I'm really glad this could happen. And we're just going to continue to talk and run our mouths all the rest of the day, but we won't subject you or my producer to that. Thank you everyone for tuning in to Let Me Be Fronk. Again, I am your host, Alyssa Fronk, and this was our guest, Selin Babakhani. If you like what you heard, please consider subscribing to Apple, Spotify, and or YouTube so you never miss an episode drop. Again, we come out with new episodes every other Wednesday. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more behind the scenes clips and whatnot. We're just cranking things up bit by bit, episode by episode. If you want to connect, please send an email to letmebefronk@gmail.com or you can slide into my DMs. I'm Alyssa Fronk on all social medias. Thanks again for being here and I'll see you next week. Bye.